Ini
Boleh, boleh.
boleh ya? Okay guys.
Boleh, boleh. Silakan,
So
Cikgu Rashid.
okay, I just continue. You guys kalau ada soalan then just tanyalah. Okay, so this is we just quickly go through what happened last week and what's going to happen next week. Okay, so thanks for attending kita punya Bull and Bear show. Okay, by Team Rex. Okay, so this week was quite interesting, especially Thursday and Friday towards the weekend close. Okay, of course the the top of the town for today or since last night has been the geopolitical tension between Ukraine and Russia lah. So market agak very volatile. Not only on the gold and also on the Japanese yen or chef or the safe havens, it's also affected quite on a big range in the equity market as well. So S&P pun jatuh or almost about I think 1.5%. Dow Jones also almost close to about 1% plus. Of course, Nasdaq close to about 2% plus drop. Okay, so all is because due to geopolitical tension. So kalau ada apa-apa soalan regarding the topic or the theme I'm talking about, you guys can always type in and then Boone will be just highlighting to me. Okay. So of
Okay,
course,
sure.
this week has been another I would say kind of apa kita panggil it reached the mark. Okay, US 10-year yield hit the highest on Wednesday. It was about 1.93 atau 1.94%. I think this we have been highlighting about the 10-year yield will hit 2%. I think this sometime about mid last year ataupun towards the third quarter last year, I highlighted during the Bull and Bear show. Okay, but then at that point time we mentioned it, kalau they hit gold, very likely go down. But this is where the correlation at this point, okay, it's not so positive or so high correlation. Okay, that's because currently geopolitical tension actually is taking place, which is the Russia-Ukraine issue. But if this was out of the equation, then we would have seen it gold on the other side. That means gold would have been going south. Okay, but this is something good news. So that's why I think now market is probably going to towards about 2.2, about 2.35 very soon. Okay, so with this increase, we are expecting US dollar to strengthen, provided this issue or the negative sentiment get out of the way. Okay, we want to be optimistic, but at the same time, we have to be a bit cautiously optimistic. We don't want any further crisis or anything. What do you call? Will make things worse because what happened last night with the press conference, I think saya tak berapa ingat, but one of the top guy on the defense from US, he made a press statement atau press conference asking US citizens to leave Ukraine immediately, and also I think UK also trying to push their troops to I think those Eastern Europe country for this weekend. So then suddenly it changed everything last night towards I think 2 a.m. Until about 3 a.m. and then continued towards about 4 a.m. to about market close at about 5 a.m. So this period there were so many things, uncertainty was going around, and of course investors don't like uncertainty in their portfolio. So that's why lots of people was getting out of the market. This is where gold was pushing. I'll go into detail in a short while, but gold was pushing from initially it break about 1830, okay, and then moved to about 1840, then suddenly went all the way to 1860 plus region, okay. And also of course JPY pairs, okay, suddenly we see a strength. So this is where I was talking about JPY will take over whenever there's a need ataupun flight to safety ataupun safe haven, okay. And JPY, okay, whenever I talk about JPY, I also it's also I mean chef pairs as well, okay. Okay, so and I think on the Thursday night, okay, after the CPI data, ataupun just before CPI data, we saw gold also dropping on a spike, okay. That's because this guy, St. Louis Reserve President, he was talking about 50 basis point, or even he is asking about close to about 100 basis point even before July 22. Okay, so that's actually given a US dollar a bit of a boost. Okay, hence, but it was short-lived. Okay, because then other events was taking over. Okay, although this is good for USD bulls. Okay, but then other news actually taken over immediately or a couple of hours after this event. Okay, and then just a bit of additional info. I think on there's a Peloton. This is I think it's more of a fitness company in US. They were just the CEO has resigned. Okay, and there's some jobs, about 2,800 plus jobs being cut. Okay, and of course CPI was the highest. Okay, I think you guys saw it. We wanted to do some kind of a review, but then kita apa ada saya ada hal sedikit, so saya tak dapat nak buat review. But I think I made some comments what will happen for the CPI in my page. Okay. On the Bitcoin or the crypto, I think DOJ sees about 3.6 billion. Okay. It's not so good news, but then market didn't react too much because the amount involved is not too big or too something to be concerned about. And of course, UK GBP was also strengthening a bit, okay, because some good news coming out of the UK, not much negative news surrounding the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Okay. Okay, so this was the news. Okay, I think this is where market was reacting quite down. When I mean down, okay, I was referring to gold. Okay, if it's a US dollar or EU or GU, it's also some kind of a move down, but then immediately spiked out after that. But this news, okay, it's not so good. Okay, because it's very high versus the expectation that the market market was expecting 7.3, but then it came at 7.5. Okay, so I just keep other things because I think all of this we already talked about it previously. Just quickly run through it. I think still Federal Reserve talking about a few rate hikes. Now market is even talking about close to about 7 hikes. Okay, initially we were only talking about 3 to 4. Then people were talking about 4 to 5. Now I think people, I think JP Morgan and the other one, if I'm not mistaken, maybe even Goldman Sachs, even they are as high as about 7 hikes. Okay, so there are so many things going on, but what is I think almost confirmed, at least 25 basis point in March. Okay, but market is actually pricing in close to about 50 bips this March. But I think very most likely this might not happen. I think very likely this will happen. But even there's a new something came out, I think yesterday, there might be even one more rate hike, emergency. It's called emergency hike. That means before March, market is probably they're thinking there will be one hike. But I think this is currently we probably can assume very unlikely because Federal Reserve or Jerome Powell don't want to they look make the market a bit uncertain ataupun make it very volatile before the official FOMC meeting in March. I think very unlikely they will do this. But again, it's possible. But in a normal scenario, this is a very unlikely thing. But again, especially someone now is a geopolitical issue going around. I think this will be out of equation. But again, we cannot discount if something suddenly, let's say next week, suddenly they panggil the meeting and then they raise by 25 basis points. Okay, but for this to happen, I think first of all the Russia Ukraine issue have to get out first. Okay, without this getting out, I think very unlikely this emergency hike will happen. But suddenly, let's say today or tomorrow, Biden and siapa tu Putin suddenly reached an agreement. Okay, then let's say next week or the following week, there's an emergency hike, then it's possible. But at this point, since this is also a bit unlikely, that means this is also very unlikely. Okay. Okay. I think oil. Okay, I think oil was shooting up. Okay, this is also another reason. I think oil breaks, depending on which type of oil you're looking at. I think WTI, I think already pushed a breakout to about 93, 94. Okay. So we are looking at it still about $100, but we hope it doesn't go to this level. Okay, it's still contained between less than 94, 95. Okay, but let's see what's happening. With the crisis become out of control, then 100 or 120 will be possible even next week. Okay, equity market, as I mentioned it, I think it's a beginning of the end of the bull market. I think market is moving south. Okay, we will look into it shortly on the equity market side. Okay, so right now this is a key issue. Okay, Russia, in a way, Putin not giving in to US demand, or US is demanding a certain thing, but Putin or Russia is not adhering to at this point. So that's why the tension suddenly become a bit on a high risk at this point. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I think so with that, I will show what's going to happen next week. Boleh nampak screen saya untuk next week, Bun?
Boleh.
Boleh ya? Okay.
Boleh.
So this is this week punya calendar. I'll show you next week. Okay, next week Chef ada PPI. Okay, but again normally this is we can take it as a low volatility ataupun no impact at all. On Tuesday will be interesting. Aussie having RBA meeting minutes. Okay, we need to see the tone ataupun what's being specified. Market can be a bit volatile, but again at this point we don't know what's going to happen. But some good news coming out from Aussie. They're going to open up the border I think by next week. Okay, so hopefully Aussie will pick up some strength. It's already started to pick up. I think siapa yang biasa tanya peg EA ataupun GA, I think we saw some Aussie improvement from the resistance. I think it's moved down to almost break some support and making a slightly a new lower low. Okay, so whoever trade this EA or GA, you guys already seen it this kind of a breakout last week. Okay, so we are having a GBP news coming up. I think this will be very volatile. This unemployment rate. Okay, just watch out. If it's any low number, then it's good for GBP. Anything high, then you can short GBP. Okay, so this will be very volatile, especially when it concerns this cable ataupun GBP. Okay, market also will be looking for this number to get the clue. Okay, this PPI normally will not be very volatile determinant, but I think next week this number will be closely watched in a way. Okay, but it's not going to rattle the market too much. Okay, but it's something to be concerned ataupun to be also. Whoever trading apa tu Kiwi ataupun New Zealand dollar, okay, just watch out for this. Normally there will be some volatility towards 11 o'clock at night on this day. Okay, global daily trade is basically harga pasal apa tu susu tepung. Okay, so anything high, okay, the index is high, then Kiwi will go up. But normally you guys see immediately, and also immediately 6 a.m. ataupun 7 a.m. onwards, NZD will react to this result. Okay, so then we are talking about Wednesday. I think this data, although it's Chinese, okay, it will directly or indirectly will affect Aussie and Kiwi. So just watch out for, okay, what's happening towards about 9:30 in the morning. Okay, then in the afternoon we have GBP. Okay, so that means this week GBP is quite interesting. I think we have unemployment rate the previous day, and we have one more big volatility data is coming out, CPI. Sama macam US CPI last week. This number will move the market up or down. Okay, so just watch out for. This one probably not too much, although it's a medium impact. We're not expecting too much. Whoever trade Canadian dollar, again, this is a CPI number, so expect some volatility. Okay, and Thursday, what we have? Okay, we have a meeting minutes. I think this one, I don't think will have any impact at this point. Okay, because this is something happened last month. But if anything comes up, something glaring statement, okay, on what's going to happen, then it probably impact. Okay, but at this point, I think most of it market already pricing in ataupun it's already public knowledge. Some of the speakers already spoke about it. For example, siapa tu? The one I mentioned just now, siapa nama dia? Kejap nanti saya James Bulat ke apa?
Tu apa
President
sniper
Bulat.
letak? Bulat.
President Bulat. Okay, so that's on that. And then we have Aussie the next morning. Okay, we have Aussie. This is also a big event. Okay, especially this unemployment rate. Just watch out for. This initial jobless claim, we're not expecting too much there. Then we have, okay, this is a guy, Bullet. He's also going to go on a speech. So I think if he still repeat the same thing, 50 basis point hike, okay, then I don't think any impact. But if suddenly says there's going to be an emergency rate hike, ataupun dia kata, oh, now it's going to be 100 points, okay, then you'll see US dollar become very strong, ataupun will relatively strong. Okay, we're not expecting anything on Japanese on this, although Japanese, it's also CPI for Japanese country, okay, but normally like chef ataupun Japanese yen, these two countries punya data is relatively orang kata akan move the market unless it's more of a policy ataupun economic policy ataupun interest rate change, then it will impact. Otherwise, this data will have a very little impact. Lepas tu cuma ada speech saja. We are not expecting too much unless they keep repeating the same hawkish tone, 50 basis point ataupun 100 basis point, something like that, then market will react to these speeches. Otherwise, we are expecting almost minor ataupun negligible. Okay, so I'm just summarizing it. Okay, so basically we are having Aussie towards the beginning of the week, and GBP is something to watch out for, because on a Tuesday, Wednesday, we have two key data coming out. Then we have Canadian dollar is going to be quite volatile on Wednesday. Then we have Aussie again on Thursday. Then we probably, I think this is a big event. So basically GBP, Canada, and Aussie. Whenever I mention Aussie, indirectly, it also will have an impact to NZD also. Okay. So they always macam kembar. Okay, Bun?
Okey, baik. Terima kasih Cikgu Rashid. So itu news minggu depan yang kita perlu berikan perhatian